Look at that in the sunlight. That's beautiful, isn't it? I'm just searching out for a place to sit and talk, but so far unsuccessfully. The water's flowing really fast today. Can't find anywhere that's a suitable place. It's just noisy with all the rushing water. So this is a tripod that I've set up just to take this video. So yeah, I'm a little bit far away from the camera, so I don't know if you can hear me okay, because there's a lot of the sound of rushing water behind me. As you can see, the waterfall, there's a lot of water rushing through, so it's a bit noisy. Living in Paradise 2.5. So we're going back to collectivist and individualist cultures, and we're just gonna dig a bit deeper, you know, about the pros and cons of each of those cultural dimensions. Now I've got my notes here on my phone. Yeah, we're going to talk about collectivism first, and we're going to look at the healthy aspects of collectivism. So we've got, the first one is family and belonging. You know, this is one of the benefits of collectivism. You know, the family unit is so strong. You know, there's nothing that can break it apart. And, you know, there are certain obligations and responsibilities the members of that group have. And the number one responsibility is taking care of people within the group, especially the elderly. You know, so mothers and fathers, once they get old, you know, it's absolutely expected that the children will take care of the adults, the parents. So that's a big plus about collectivist culture. And the next one is comfort. You know, everybody feels really comfortable within this group because, you know, they sort of support each other. If anyone has any problems, then the whole group is behind them. So they feel very comfortable within their group. And the next one is purpose. They have a sense of purpose because they're committed to the group. And this is, you know, it's a big plus for the collectivist group. You know, this sense of purpose they have is very strong. The last one, out of the four benefits or four healthy aspects of the collectivist culture, is sexual gratification. So, yeah, we don't really need to dig too deeply into that one. So then we go on to the unhealthy aspects of the collectivist culture. And the first one is tribalism. You know, they're all part of a tribe, and this is I mean, that could be seen as a benefit, but it's probably closer to a negative. When we think of a tribe, we think of, you know, tribes having problems with other tribes, and that really is an issue with collectivism. You know, one tribe will look at another tribe and despise them. They'll really hate the other tribe because they're competitors. You know, the two tribes are competing. And what are they competing for? Loyalty, leadership. You know, the idol of each tribe, the leader of each tribe, you know, has their own ideology. And they're never the same. You know, two tribes are never actually the same. They don't never share the same ideology, which always leads to problems. The next one is hatred. You know, we're sort of going on from this tribal mentality, we can call it. And, you know, they do actually hate other tribes. They despise them. And, you know, this is something I've been really puzzling over, and it's only recently that I've discovered this whole concept of the ideology of collectivism. Well, as you know, I'm an avid cyclist, and, you know, I have been for a very long time. And I joined groups. So I'll leave that bit about the cycling experience I had, the cycling group experience. I'll leave that till after this main part of the video. Okay, I'll spare you that if you want to skip that. So where were we? We were talking about tribalism. So this is one of the unhealthy aspects of collectivism. And so yeah, we've got hatred is one of the second negative aspects of collectivism, which leads to violence, and they're all interrelated. So tribalism, hatred and violence, they all lead on to one another. Violence against people within the group. It doesn't have to be physical violence, it can be, what's the term, psychological abuse. And this does happen quite a lot. You know, if you're a member of one group and you're forced into a situation where you have to try to be pleasant with a member of a rival group, that's not going to work out well. You know, when you're sort of seeing each other face to face, then possibly you're going to be, you know, put on this act of trying to get along. But once their backs are turned, you're going to be stabbing them in the back to everybody that will listen, which is pretty sad. The fourth one, the negative aspect of collectivism, is inauthenticity. So again, that's related to the tribal aspect. You know, you follow the leader. The leader, whatever the leader says. So we were talking about, you know, the leader suggesting everybody follow their advice about buying these new set of wheels for their bicycle, regardless of whether they're good or not. You know, the leader said this, so it's expected that everybody follows. The members of the group are being inauthentic. You know, they're not being truthful with themselves or with one another. And even the leader is probably not being truthful with the members of the group. Well, obviously this is going to lead to the group's disintegration, and it pretty much inevitably will. But not immediately. You know, there will be some sort of grace period before the rebellion occurs, and the group just breaks apart. So that's the healthy and unhealthy aspects of collectivism. Now, individualism also has authenticity, which is a complete opposite of collectivist culture, is considered a healthy aspect of the individualist group. And we can also call that originality. So people are original, you know, they try to be original, that's what they strive to be. Self-reliance is another positive aspect of individualism. You know, we are, you know, I count myself as being individualist, so we are very self-reliant, and we really put a lot of emphasis on being self-reliant. And, you know, I sort of tie this in with dignity. You know, that's our source of dignity as an individualist. And we're also creative. You know, so creativity is another healthy aspect of individualism. We are pretty creative, you know, we want to be original and, you know, creative. And that's something, again, we strive towards. Leadership. Because of these other three aspects, that generally creates good leaders. You know, so when we are authentic and original, when we're self-reliant and we're creative, we're often pretty good at leading. So then we go on to the unhealthy aspects of individualism. And all of these are pretty much interrelated. So we've got depression, loneliness, suicide and narcissism. Those are the four negative aspects of individualism. So depression. It can be quite lonely if you're an individualist. So good or bad, I mean, that's one of the, it's part of the package of being an individualist, is being sometimes a bit lonely, which will lead to depression. And, you know, the extreme of depression will possibly even lead to suicide, which is a thing, you know, for individualist cultures. But we can't say that's not a thing for collectivist cultures, but, you know, that's generally for different reasons. You know, suicide in a collectivist culture is often brought about by having too much pressure placed on the members of the group. You know, for example, school kids. You know, the parents are applying enormous pressure to school kids to do well in school. you're in a sort of secondary school, getting into a decent university and getting the best grades they can. That's enormous pressure. You know, this is a problem for both individualist and collectivist cultures. You know, to suicide. But for the individualist culture, it's often brought about by depression. You know, feeling lonely, or from feeling lonely, being isolated. So yeah, these are the positive and negative aspects of collectivism and individualism. I hope that was informative. And now there's a few people come to the bigger pool. This is why I'm constantly looking over there. I think these people there, they're looking at me. I think they can just about see me here, and they're probably wondering what the hell I'm doing. Sitting here talking to myself with my tripod setup right here. It's over here, and be part of the cycling group. And it never worked out. One of the biggest deciding factors for me to sort of ditch the whole group idea was I met up with a friend, a cycling friend, and we decided we were going to go for a cycle, either the following day or a couple of days for the weekend or something like that. So, we've made this plan, and we were going to go for a cycle. And this guy, he was a roadie, and I'm a mountain biker. But, we decided, yeah, that's okay. He'd sort of slow down for me and wait for me. And the day our appointment came, we'd set this time that we were going to meet. I think it was something like 6 o'clock at a petrol station. And so I was bang on time, a little bit early actually. And I had to wait for half an hour for this other guy to arrive, which is kind of normal. You have to expect that over here because timekeeping is not the best. And yeah, I was okay with that. I mean, I wasn't really okay with that. Deep down, I was a little bit pissed off, but I just have to put up with that. That's one of the aspects of living here. So yeah, fair enough. I met up with this guy. He came along, and then he said, "Oh, he's arranged to meet another friend." So okay, a bit more waiting, and there was another half an hour, and the friend arrived in a pickup truck, and the friend suggested, "Why don't we join up with another group?" Which meant we had to put our bikes in the pickup truck and then drive along to another meeting area. Which, yeah, I sort of went along with it. I was really pissed off by this time. And, I'd been waiting like an hour or over an hour. Then by the time we got into the pickup, there was another half an hour gone. So I'd been waiting pretty much an hour and a half. So I was pretty pissed off by this time. But I was still putting on my brave face and thinking, okay, I'm just going to grin and bear this. And we got to this other group, and it was a large group. And pretty much everybody were roadies. They were all road bike enthusiasts, and I was pretty much the only mountain biker with my flat tires and slow bike. And I thought, never mind, I'm sure they'll sort of wait for me and everything. But I was kind of the newbie in the group, and we went off to this place that's quite a long way away. It was in Satun, a neighbouring province. Beautiful place. It was called Taliban. It's a national park. Really beautiful place. And so anyway, this was the next meeting point. So we went off to this place, and we all sort of got ready for the ride. And the ride was to get back to Hadjai again. And we went via a waterfall. That was Dongachang Waterfall, which is another beautiful place. But again, it's a national park and full of people, so I don't generally go there. And so yeah, this was the planned route. It was about 90 kilometers, the total ride, which was pretty long for me in those days. And I thought, okay, never mind. And there were another couple of guys in the group who weren't all that quick. They weren't all that fit and weren't all that fast. But the rest of them, they just took off. Within 5 kilometers, I was left in the dust. And fortunately, these other two, they were sort of not doing all that well either. So we sort of hung together. And I think they were sending sort of messages within the group and that. And the next rendezvous point was a coffee shop or a little restaurant on the side of the road. And it was a big dual carriageway. That was the route. So yeah, we met up in this place, and by the time I got there, I was really hungry. So I said, oh, I'm just going to have something to eat. And everybody laughed at me. I said, what, you can have something to eat? But I was famished by this time. I hadn't had any breakfast. So yeah, they didn't actually wait for me. They sort of waited for my food to arrive, and then the fast group took off. The other two, the sort of slow ones, they waited for me, and we took off together after I'd finished eating. And yeah, this was, I missed a bit. When we were setting up to ride off on this trek back home, there was one guy, and what's the word? I feel a bit indebted to this guy, another cyclist, and he wasn't there that day. He's usually a member of the group, this bigger group, and he wasn't there. And so a few of the other members of the group started gossiping about him, which I found very difficult to stomach. Like, this guy wasn't there. He didn't have a chance to defend himself, and I'm sure they wouldn't have done it if he was there. Which I thought was, really not, just out of order. I really didn't appreciate that at all. So yeah, this was, it just sort of added weight to my feeling of not being satisfied with this whole thing, this whole idea of meeting up and going for a cycle with one friend. It turned out into something completely different. And I had no idea that each time, you said, oh yeah, well, we're just waiting for another friend, so that waited for the other friend, and then it all changed again. And then we went off to this neighbouring province, and met up with this large group, and that it was completely, I was out of my comfort zone as well. That was another aspect of it. So I wasn't happy at that sort of, the changing circumstances. I wasn't happy with it at all. So anyway, yeah, the trek back, after we stopped for me for something to eat, and then yeah, the rest of the trip back, one of the guys, the three of us, he had an accident. He was like, I think he was like 60, this guy. This was probably 10 years ago. It was quite a while ago. And this guy, he was very fit for his age, but he had a bit of an accident. There was a car parked up on the side of the road, and he just whacked into the back of it. He was doing about 30 kilometers an hour, and he just smashed straight into the back of this parked car. He didn't see it, and he was in a bit of a mess, and this other guy, myself, we stood there and sort of helped him get up, and picked his bike up and that. And he had done some damage. I think his teeth had gone through his lip, and yeah, he wasn't in a good state. So he got back up and was like, yeah, well, I'm okay. He wasn't okay at all. Blood gushing from his lip, and it was a bit of a mess. So we said, no, just wait. I think the people in the house, they came out and sort of saw what was going on and phoned the ambulance service. And so, we waited probably 5 minutes for the ambulance to arrive, and they carted him off. And I think we contacted his wife as well, and told her what was going on, and told her where he was heading, what hospital he was heading to. So I think they arranged to meet up at the hospital. The wife was going to be there. So the guy, he said to us, well, don't worry, just make sure my bike's safe. So we asked the owners of the house who came out to help. We asked them if they could keep it there, and we told him, when he's okay again, to go back and pick up his bike at this place, which he did. And yeah, that was not too good. So it was only the two of us left then, and we made it back. I don't think we did actually catch up with the rest of the group. We were stragglers, we left behind. And yeah, that was okay. And this other guy, he sort of, we parted company once we were in Hadya. He said, yeah, he's off home and he had to go this other way. And I was happy to be back home, and I thought from that moment on, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not joining the groups anymore, because the collectivist group mentality, it's hierarchy. It's pure hierarchy. There is a leader, one leader of the group, and everybody follows what that person says. As far, even to the extent where that person, that leader, he buys a particular brand of wheel for his bicycle, and he swears by them. They may actually be absolutely crap, but he's bought them, so he's invested money in these new wheels. And so obviously he's going to lose face if he says, oh no, don't bother with these, they're rubbish. So he's not going to do that. He's just going to tell everybody in the group. He said, oh yeah, these are brilliant wheels, you should get these as well. So everybody has to follow the leader, whether they want to or not. They don't really have a choice. If they want to be a member of the group, then yeah, that's what's expected of them. And these groups, they disintegrate really fast. I give each group about a year before it just breaks apart. For a whole number of reasons, but it pretty much always happens. And then sometimes in the future, these groups, fractions of the groups, they get back together and form another group and deal with a new leader, and it's a real weird thing, and something I've kind of been a part of, but I've witnessed it enough to think to myself, no, I don't want to be a part of this anymore, and I just avoid these groups now. And I have a group of friends, who there's only 3 of us in my group. I put it in my group. I'm not the owner of this group or the leader or anything. We sort of, the other 2 members of the group, they're both Thai, and we're all completely different. One is a Thai Buddhist, and the other is a Thai Muslim, and I'm, agnostic. Yeah, I respect all religion, but I don't really choose to be a part of any particular one. But I respect and appreciate, the teachings of all religions. But I'm still on the fence. I'd rather have some concrete evidence to prove that, yeah, this religion has evidence that there is, something more substantial than just blind faith. Yeah, that's just me. So, anyway, so this group of ours, we're all very different in our group, but we all listen to each other, and we, rib each other and take the piss, as we would say in England. And we're very tolerant of each other. And it seems as though we don't have any hierarchy within the group. I think sometimes, the other 2, they probably, can't avoid thinking of the hierarchy within the group. But as far as I'm concerned, there isn't any at all. We're all equal within the group. And at one stage, the 2 Thai members of the group, they were talking about, starting a business. The 3 of us was going to start a business. And I put the dampers on that straight away. I said, the problem with doing business as friends is the friendship pretty much ends right there. There's no more friendship. It's a way to destroy friendship. So I basically said, no way. I'm not having anything to do with any type of business between us. I mean, the other 2, they're very successful in their businesses, and I'm, sort of so-so. And yeah, this whole concept, or this whole idea of starting a business together, yeah, I put the dampers on that one immediately. So, wow, talk about digressing, hey. Anyway, I hope that was informative, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks, bye.